Welcome to another edition of Two Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Baxter Colburn.
This is Simon Provan.
Simon, what did I just say?
Presented by Sports Radio America.
Yes, indeed.
Debut show.
You heard that correctly. We are officially launching on Sports Radio America today. It's a huge announcement for us, and we are very excited for our show. But a lot of that really doesn't matter today, Simon, because as excited as we are for that announcement, we have more guests in the show today, which we will get to in just a little bit. Some friends of ours from the Milwaukee Torrent are here, so we're going to chat with them about bringing professional soccer to the Milwaukee area. But before we get to that, though, Bruce City, yes, and then it's not a traditional name that you'd think of when you think of a professional club in Milwaukee. But like I said, we'll talk about all of that, in just a little bit. But where can the good people find us on social media?
They can find us on Facebook at Two Up Front or on Twitter at Two Up Front Soccer.
Yes, indeed. And you can watch the show right here live on thecube.com if you'd rather look at our beautiful faces instead of listen to us.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Simon needs to shave, but I know. I'm Italian. It grows like wildfire. I don't know what you want from me. And anyway, though, you can watch the show there, but then you can also listen to the show on sportsradioamerica.com on Thursday nights. The official time, I believe, is about 8 p.m. Eastern, so you can listen to it at that time. You can also listen to us live on Spreaker.com on Thursdays at 2:15 Central. And you can also go and download our podcast on iTunes, Live 365, and TuneIn Radio.
That's a lot of sites that
we're
on now.
It is, and yet, Simon,
exciting.
We're not done. We're not done growing.
There's
still so much more to do,
on.
so much more to grow, and the sky's the limit, and it's an amazing thing. It's as beautiful as a messy chip over a German goalkeeper. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, we will talk about the UEFA Champions League a little bit later on in our show. We've got our power rankings and our predictions for the upcoming weeks. We have 3 different guests coming on the show today, 2 different segments, our friends from the Milwaukee Torrent, and then a new friend of ours, an MLS world traveler, as it were, our good friend Sonya Kondratenka. It's a mouthful and a half to say. She'll be coming on to talk about her experience at the second leg of the CONCACAF Champions League final game.
Yeah.
So we're very excited to welcome all of those guests in, Simon.
And first of all, though,
yes,
big-time guests we
first
got coming on here.
In studio for the first time.
We got the owner, Andy Davi, and first player signing ever, James Weber. Come on in, guys,
yes,
from the
indeed.
Milwaukee
Torrent.
Very
very excited to welcome
very excited.
them. I feel like we need a studio audience to clap or something. But woo! We're very excited. But welcome, gentlemen. We're very excited to have you here. Welcome to our show, and welcome to bringing soccer down to the Milwaukee area. We'll start with you, Andy. What inspired you to bring soccer to the Milwaukee area?
Professional
soccer, yes. That's a huge difference.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us here. The idea is in my head for more than a year. The start was just never really knew how to start this, and then in January I got a couple phone calls. Got aware of that there's a license free for the NPSL. Then I talked to the league, started to talking about with many different leagues. Just give it a thought, like 24 hours, and then 48 hours later, the Milwaukee Torrent was born with a group behind my back, around about 20 people.
Wow, okay.
Who are on an advisory board. The logo and the name Torrent, like I said, we got this in the first 48 hours. Didn't take a long time before we had the first sponsors. It took off much, much faster as I thought it would. There's still a lot of work. We're going to start playing in 2016. We do this because it is a lot of work, and we want that this entity will grow in this 1 year in Milwaukee. And we have right now 1,200 followers on Facebook, almost 400 on Twitter. We have the first player signed up. We're going to announce a little bit later in the show the second player that we signed. And we are thrilled, and I think it's the right time to do it. We obviously cannot do this on the highest level because the financial resources that you need are just really huge. And I really believe starting this on a lower level is the right way to do. We want that the people also that they really say, I feel like I'm from the Milwaukee Torrent, that there's identification. Mm-hmm. So I always think, from where I come from, Germany, also a little town with the club Bayer Leverkusen, it is important that you have people on your side and not against you. And I think it is hard work pays off. And in the town of Milwaukee, it will grow, and I'm really thrilled.
Yeah, one of the things you're talking about is the slow growth. We've seen so many teams. As you said, you're not shooting for MLS right now or the NASL or USL because it's just too expensive right now. But you do see these clubs that have started small and have grown. I mean, you got clubs like Orlando City, for example. They first started out in Austin as I believe at that time it was USL Pro, so fourth tier at that time. And then they moved to Orlando, became a third division team, and now they're an MLS club. I realize that would be a far way off, but I love hearing that what you're focusing on is that slow growth and building that grassroots. That to me is what's exciting about what's happened with soccer in this country is the grassroots support that's happened behind these clubs that started small and have gotten big because of that. So
yeah,
that's exciting.
And a conversation that Simon and that you and I have a lot too is that the Midwest is kind of void of a lot of high-class professional teams. And I know we have MLS teams and we have a few lower league teams, but it's nice to have these smaller league teams that are going to continue to help build the community and then see the growth as well. You think of soccer in America, most of them are on the West and East Coast, rightfully so, that's where it's really popular. But there's that gap in between, LA and New York. You got to fill in the gap, and I think the Midwest.
There's country between those two cities?
You wouldn't guess it some days the way the media puts it, but yes, there is a thing called the Midwest and the Mountain Pacific and all of that. But with Milwaukee, though, why Torrent? What part of Torrent? I mean, you think of Milwaukee, you think of brats, you think of baseball, you think of, the Packers are a little bit north, but you think of all these typical Midwestern things. So when I heard that the name was the Milwaukee Torrent, I'm like, well, that's interesting. Where did you get the inspiration for that?
So my first idea was something with Brick City. And then I talked to different people who are big in marketing, and they said it just sounds too soft. And it's already too many projects or clubs or just people who call companies Brick City. So I wanted something that doesn't stand directly for beer or for cheese.
Yep.
So with the Lake Michigan and with Milwaukee is clean city, clean water city Milwaukee, and with that new project of UWM. We thought it's a nice fit. Everybody drinks water. Everybody needs water. Everybody, like I said, we have Lake Michigan. And Torrent, the name Torrent is a powerful name, makes an impact, and this is why we choose Torrent.
Awesome.
That is exciting, yeah.
So, Andy, you started out the club, and now you got your first signing with the club, James Weber. James, welcome to the show as well.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So, James, give us a little background on yourself, and I'd love to hear what it means to you to be not only a first player signed by somebody, but a first player of a new franchise.
Well, I'm from Hartford, Wisconsin. Shout out to Hartford. But yeah, I played 3 years professionally over in Sweden. I'm going into my fourth year now with the Milwaukee Wave. And so, I know the right environment for professional soccer. I know what it's supposed to be like. And so coming to a new franchise is something new for me, obviously. But as I want to do with my soccer career, I see a lot of potential with the Milwaukee Torrent. I'm just 22-year-old, from Wisconsin, and this is a state and city that I want soccer to really grow in. And, Davi sees it, I see it, and I think a lot of people in the city see the potential with the Torrent. And, this is going to really evolve pretty quickly. Quicker than I think Davi thinks.
That's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to take off as long as we have the support of the community and the support of the people. This is really going to fly, so I want to be a part of that.
Awesome. Go ahead, Baxter.
Oh, I was going to say, it's an exciting time because anytime as a player, for you, James, that you're the first signing for a team, it does put a lot of pressure on you because people automatically assume that, okay, you're going to be the face of the franchise, which is not a bad thing to have, but it does put a little bit more pressure on you. How do you go about navigating that where it's the right balance between, yes, smile for the cameras, but then also mentally preparing and physically preparing for what you have to do on the field?
Right. I've gotten used to the pressure in my life. I've always kind of had to lead a team, captain a team, take control. And I'm not just a soccer player. I'm also, a businessman. I know what it takes to have a successful organization. And I'm fine with that pressure of, leading the Torrent. Davi knows what he's doing. I know what I'm doing. So, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready for things to really take off.
All right. So, Andy, what are the next steps then? You got James here signed up. I know you have another player that you're going to talk about soon. But what are the next steps for the Torrent then? You're talking about launching in 2016. Before that, any steps that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about the league. We know already the league that we get in.
Oh, that's exciting.
We are not allowed to publish it yet because the league makes 3 bigger announcements. It is really exciting to be a part of this league. Many people will be surprised. And this will be hopefully published this month. Then the next steps after this, once obviously we talked about this a little before, once we are signed with this league, we're also affiliated with USASA. That means we're still thinking about if we can play in the fall regionals to qualify for the Lama Hunt Cup. That would be then basically the first game ever. But like I said, we have to think about this. Then we're going to publish every 1-2 weeks another player. We have more players who are committed yet, and then we go from there. It's like the online store goes online pretty soon. We have a variety of different merchandise already up. I mean, you saw on Facebook scarves and hats. There's shirts. There's specific stuff for kids, specific stuff for women. We have some pink gear coming out for women. So it's all pretty exciting. It will take a little bit of time, but there's always something going on. So those are the next steps right now. Thinking about the league, publishing more players, and get the online store on.
That's exciting. I think one question I think a lot of people are going to have is, where do you intend to play your home games? And if it's not at a soccer-specific stadium, how long until we possibly see that development of a stadium just for the Torrent?
Well, we have an agreement for the first season 2016 with Eline Soccer Park.
Okay.
We are pretty happy that the Milwaukee Kickers agreed to that directly. This is great for us. We use it as practice facility, as a game facility. We have the locker rooms there. There's obviously a great concession stand. Stadium is great for us.
I think it seats about 4,000.
Yeah, that's where the Wisconsin high school soccer, usually state tournaments are held.
So we have already the plan for the Flood. They will have their own section directly behind the goal.
That's the supporter section, the Flood?
That's the supporter section. They have. They're also on Facebook and on Twitter. They are applying to be a non-profit organization.
Oh, great!
It's great how those guys how they took this over, how they started this. There is some things I got already something for those guys coming from Germany, supporter stuff. There will be a huge banner in front of that little fence where it says the Flood.
That's exciting,
and it's pretty exciting. So with Eline. I heard already there are some discussions about the location is probably not perfect as of right now. For us, as of right now, it is.
Yes.
And we are pretty happy that we have this location. There's space to tailgate. Like I said, you don't have to worry about seating. You don't have to worry about concession stands. MSOE was also. I talked with Jimmy Banks. It was. John Banks, not Jimmy Banks.
They're on the rooftop stadium that
on
they
the rooftop,
have? Which I think is awesome, personally.
It's awesome, and we walked around with him a little bit, and it doesn't seat too many people. There's a smaller concession stand. We would be happy to have maybe 1 or 2 scrimmages down there to be really then downtown Milwaukee. But for the first season to get the people in, Eline is the best option for us.
As for Eline being our stadium for the first season, you guys can guarantee that the quality will be good enough it'll be worth the travel, so we can promise you good quality soccer.
That's exciting. That is a good thing to promise. Is the lakefront like an ideal spot though? Like at the end of the day, like if you could build your dream stadium, would it be like the Milwaukee Torrent? You talked so much about Lake Michigan. Would it be kind of that downtown on the water area?
It would be great. It would be awesome. There are some factors that you have to think about.
Of course, yes.
It's always hard to say, okay, you build a stadium somewhere, you have a stadium or a venue. Depends on how many bars you have around. We target really that the thing that you can't forget, the Torrent. I wanted to build or start the Torrent that our kids, that there's nothing that they really have to say, I want to be a part of this organization later for outdoor professional soccer. And this was my point, that I want this, that our kids really can say, you know what, I work my rear end off a little bit more in high school soccer or in college soccer to be at one day a part of this. Downtown lakefront would be awesome. Now we talk again funding.
Yes.
Right.
That's why I said like the dream. Like,
well, let's face it, Eline has the best facility right now, really, in the state for a professional soccer team.
That's why state soccer is held there, which makes sense.
With Hard Park, don't know how this all would work out. Would be also a nice location, and it all depends. I cannot give you the numbers here because I'm not allowed from the leagues. But there are some leagues they are going to raise their standards again, and specifically with the stadium. So if you maybe now you need a stadium for 5,000 people, well, maybe in 1 year you need a stadium for 10,000 people.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. And you first of all you need all this money just to get a license. It doesn't matter if it is NASL or USL, but then you need all that money to have the venue.
Yeah. Right.
And I just don't want that we have to take $20 or $25 for a ticket. I don't want that families of 4 have to spend $100, $150 to come to a Torrent game. This is not our goal. This is not a money machine. I want, like I said, that this is for the community, that people feel it is fine, it is great, and I want that everybody can afford the Torrent, to come to a Torrent game.
That's awesome. That's what Milwaukee needs is, again, the grassroots. How do you get a grassroots movement? You start with the kids, with the families, and then you move from there. And you'll get those hardcore supporters, like you're saying, you have the flood. So talking professionally, I wonder, James, if you could talk to us a little bit about playing in Sweden. And Andy, you have a history with Bayern Leverkusen, is that correct?
Bayer Leverkusen, yes.
Yeah, sorry. I'm still working on the German part.
No problem.
If you guys just want to, speak a little bit about that versus what it's like over here in the States.
Yeah. Well, European soccer is obviously a lot different. European football. So making the switch for me, I think, will be difficult because over there, soccer's everything. Soccer's the biggest part of life over there, and over here, that's more football, baseball, and I kind of want to change that. I'm sure a lot of people do. A lot of soccer lovers want to change that, and I think Milwaukee will help. Make this a soccer city. The Milwaukee Torrent will help. Turn things around here, which I'm hoping for. It might not be right away, but I'm looking to at least make an impact for the next couple of years so that one day we can truly call Milwaukee a soccer city.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, the biggest difference starting in a program like Bayer Leverkusen, it's like what James said. It's every day, and it's this one sport. You only do this one sport. You breathe this, you live for it, and you don't do nothing different. If you're not good enough in that sport, you do something else. And we're trying, or I'm trying. I just got like a couple of weeks ago back with a group of 10 to 14-year-olds from Arsenal, North Shore Arsenal. I took them over to Bayer Leverkusen. They practiced there at the facility with their coaches. It is something. The kids were stunned. They were overwhelmed. I mean, you see a facility for 16 million euros only for youth soccer. You see the nicest fields. Then they were able to see 3 Bundesliga games and the
Awesome.
German Cup game against Leverkusen versus Munich. But then just get the experience to really to see the pros practice and getting those coaches, getting practices in with those coaches. We had 7 sessions with 7 different coaches. And those 6 of those coaches, including the academy director, are going to come actually to Milwaukee this year for a camp. It's important that the kids need to see what does it mean, what do you have to do to come onto that next level, how much work it really is. And that's the important part. And this is also obviously a cultural thing. That you cannot change in America, but maybe you, like James said, there is an impact that some kids maybe said, okay, if I really want to focus on soccer, I have to give up something else for that too. Instead of doing another sport, maybe 3 hours a week, put those 3 hours more of those 3 hours into soccer.
Excellent. I want to shift gears a little bit here. So, James, you were talking about how you're a businessman, but you are also an author. You got a published book, A Soccer Ball and Some Faith by James Weber. I'll put it up there on the cube so you can see that. You want to talk about your book a little bit here? Where it can be found, what it's about?
Yeah, a little bit about it. It's on, right now it's on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, as well as just came out on Kindle as well, so you can get it on your Kindle or on your iPad, anything like that. And so far, the reviews I've been getting from people, they tell me, oh, your book changed my life. It really turned things around for me. And, that feels good to hear. But also, I don't want people to, buy my book expecting, this book is going to change me. This book is going to, change who I am, because I don't really want that. But rather, I want this book to help you change yourself. And I wrote this book to help inspire, to encourage, and really to impact people to chase their dreams, to chase love, and most importantly, to chase God. Because once you chase God and once you truly fully dedicate your life to God, that's when you realize the truth, and that's that, anything is possible with God. And that's what I want to do.
Well, as we talked about, we share similar beliefs, hence our tagline.
Yes, exactly.
So that's awesome that you've done that you have the courage to go out there and publish that and basically put your life out there for people to see. So wish you God's blessings on the success with the book as well as with the Torrent. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Andy, do you want to do the big reveal? Are you ready for this as far as the next player signing?
We have a drum roll?
Oh, yeah, drum roll. Okay, the next player that we signed, we welcome to the Milwaukee Torrent, our number 26, Ian Bennett.
Woo! Congratulations.
That's a big name in Milwaukee soccer.
you.
Ian Bennett. Yeah, that's congratulations. That's a big catch.
Yeah, it's Ian. We talked to him a couple of times. He liked the idea, and he also wants to be part of something great, something for the kids. And I think it can be big. What we're trying to do, it will be big, and just being part of it is just great. And yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about community support. One of the best ways to get that community support is walking the walk. You're signing good players. You're signing incredible players to this team. This is a professional team that people can come out and support, starting officially in 2016, maybe a little bit before that.
Maybe a little bit before. What I also would like to say about all the players that we talked so far is that nobody really was concerned about money, in that this is professional. They were all so excited that we do this, that this was really on a level that with some players didn't even talk about this so far. But it is. I just want the community to know that the guys that we have on that team, that they do this for the cause of the game, for the love of the game, because they're absolutely addicted to what they do. They love this, they breathe this, and that's important. I know everybody has to make a living, but it is great to see that, how should I say this in a nice way, that there are not so many mercenaries out there for the project of the Milwaukee Torrent.
Awesome. I got a little surprise for you.
Yeah.
I got a fight song for you that I wrote this morning.
Oh,
A fight song. Okay,
You wanna hear it?
Yeah, of
I
course.
knew nothing about
All
this.
right.
Just
He
to
did.
say,
He did.
just to clear
I'm still
my
working
name.
on it, but I thought I had to pen something
Is it
for
in
you guys.
German?
I don't know German,
Oh,
so
okay.
I could sing it in English, and you could try to translate.
There
That's
you
okay.
go.
All right, so
Google Translate.
on sunny days, on rainy days, the goals come pouring down. Our foes, they know, will come crashing down as the Torrent claim the crown. To the Torrent we sing so very loud, of the club we are so proud. In victory we stand with thee in good old Milwaukee.
Wow.
Awesome.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Very good.
I'll send it to you.
Cool. Thank you very much. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
So,
Holy cow.
Awesome, guys. We want to thank you for coming on and
Thanks
for having
making
us.
the announcement. And you have one. Yeah,
One more
sorry.
thing. Yeah, so you had one more thing to say to your friends
Oh.
back home.
Ja, I would like to say something quick
Please.
in German because I know people in German are listening.
Please go ahead.
An meine Freunde in Deutschland, habt eine gute Nacht, ist ja ein bisschen später schon bei euch. Vielen Dank, dass ihr zugehört habt. Danke an die ganze Unterstützung über Facebook, Twitter und bedeutet mir sehr viel. Bleibt am Ball und wir sehen uns im Dezember. Vielen Dank und gute Nacht.
Exactly. Did you catch all that? Simon was like taking notes, like, oh, okay. Twitter and Facebook, I got
heard
that.
thank you in there.
Yes. Well, we want to say thank you to both of you gentlemen. Thank you so much for stopping by. It really means a lot. And for James for talking about your book, and Andy just talking about the Milwaukee Torrent as a whole. We're very excited for your continued growth, and we're excited to see where the Torrent and the Flood continue to take us in the Milwaukee area.
Yeah, and thanks guys for making our debut on Sports Radio America.
Thank you for
special.
being the debut guest. That means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, well, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Simon, we're going to chat with one of the MLS travelers. She was at the second leg of the Montreal Impact CONCACAF game, Sonya Kondratenka. We'll be right back. This is Two Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to another edition of Two Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Baxter Colburn.
This is Simon Provan.
Wow, Simon, quite the first segment. You and I just have the best luck, I swear. And
we do.
It's you know what it really is, though, Simon, like what James was talking about. It's God's grace of blessing our show and continuing to help us grow.
Absolutely.
But it's great because we get to help continue to spread the word about local organizations and just have a lot of fun with it at the same time.
You know what we forgot to mention?
What was that?
We call that our hometown spotlight.
Oh, that's right. That's kind of a big deal.
Forgot to mention the segment name.
It's kind of an important thing. Well, Simon, we have another guest, not in studio, as you can, those of you watching, there's no one behind us. She rests in the palm of my hand, though. She is an MLS world traveler, as it were. She lives the life I dreamed and wished I could.
Right.
Her name is Sonya Kondratenka, and she has been to many an MLS game. She's going to the... what did they call it? It's not the Rail City Derby this Sunday, Sonia. What are they calling it now?
They're calling it the Hudson or the Hudson River Derby.
Hudson River Derby.
They're taking that from the Merseyside Derby out in Liverpool and Everton.
Exactly. Well,
it's named
Sonia,
after the river.
Exactly. Well, Sonia, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, I know we really want to jump right into this, is the fact that kind of explain a little bit about the lifestyle that you live. I mean, you get to go to multiple MLS games and seem to have quite the fun doing it. So just give the fans listening a little bit of a background on what you do.
Okay, well, I grew up a DC United fan pretty much since the inception. But as an adult and having freedom, and I'm a freelancer, so I have a lot of ability to be able to work remotely. So I have parlayed that into being able to travel across the country, visit friends, family, and watch a lot of soccer in the process.
Now, just recently, you had the opportunity to be at the second leg of the 2015 CONCACAF Champions League final with the Montreal Impact and Club America. Talk a little bit about that experience and what it was like to be in the stadium for that monumental game.
Oh, it's pretty awesome. The Olympic Stadium is the largest stadium in Canada, I do believe, and it used to be the home of the Expos. So, the last time I was in Montreal, the last time I was in Montreal 14 years ago, I actually went to an Expos game.
Wow! Back when they were still.
It was like the second to last season, I think.
So, do you know? No, I was going to ask you if I noticed the stadium still has a little bit of those baseball walls in it. Have they renovated that so it's no longer a baseball stadium at all? Do you know?
You know, it didn't really feel like a baseball stadium, not as much as Yankees does, or.
Yeah. No kidding.
No, it felt like I remembered it similarly, but it didn't really feel like a baseball stadium. And Impact has been playing a lot of games there, especially in the beginning of the season when they still have those pretty harsh winters.
Sure. Which, the Canadian Championship game last night, I don't know if you saw that, they had to cancel the FC Edmonton-Vancouver game because Edmonton got 4 inches of snow last night.
Yeah, that was actually pretty amazing. And on my way up to Montreal from New York City, I took the Amtrak train. There was condensation, frozen condensation falling from the sky in Albany.
It is May, for gosh sakes.
Yeah.
What in the world is going on? We had the first sunny day here in Wisconsin in a long time, and Simon, I saw him this morning, and he was like, oh, it's summer. He's like, well, it'll probably be winter tomorrow, so everybody go to the pool now, go to the beach, go tanning, because, pull out your parkas tomorrow. That's just kind of how Wisconsin weather is.
Yeah, we get that a lot in Baltimore, too, really on and off.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of spoiled since I'm from Florida. I'm kind of used to the nice sunny weather all year round.
I was at the Orlando City NYCFC opener in March. So
very cool.
Yeah, what was that like just to be there for that? I was another game I was going to ask you about. What was that like?
Super awesome. 62,000 people. Insane. Everybody in purple. Maybe a handful of baby blue for NYCFC.
They got lost.
A very small handful. Yeah, they did get lost. It was hard to find them. It was a really great experience. I spend a lot of time in Florida. I have a lot of family there, a lot of friends there, and so it was a really great moment to see everything come together. And they have that whole built not bought mentality with the promotion of as much of a promotion as we would get from USL.
Right, right.
They have a pretty solid base of supporters already, lined up that have been a part of the club's history for a couple years.
That's exciting to hear. I mean, in all honesty, though, being able to travel around as much as you do, and we're looking through some of the pictures that you have on your multiple different platforms for social media, it's just an amazing thing to see, though, like all the different views and thoughts and areas that you're able to be at. You had a chance to be 4 weeks ago. You were at Old Trafford for the Manchester Derby.
Oh, that's actually from October.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the. I don't know how to.
It was a what do they call it? A throwback Thursday.
That's right. As I was reading it, I was like, wait.
I love that your throwbacks are less than a year old and they have soccer stadiums in the picture.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I have to get it in when I can, so
That's right.
Not a problem with that. Well, speaking of, since you've had the opportunity to be at both EPL games and at MLS games, obviously the atmospheres are probably going to be entirely different, but with the new expansions, you've had a chance to be at some of the Champions League games. Is the line between the two kind of starting to get a little bit closer?
That is how I was trying to describe the environment in Montreal to a lot of people, and I was thinking that some of the closest ways to compare it to would be my European equivalent or experiences. It was very passionate, very enthusiastic. People were focused. I go to a lot of MLS games. Sometimes people are on their phones and they don't really care and what's going on. We're going to talk and we're going to wander and not pay too much attention. But like in Orlando and in Montreal, people were laser focused on what was actually happening and standing up, cheering, singing, chanting the whole time. In Montreal, it was quite an interesting experience, though, because all of the songs were in French. So I got a very quick lesson.
I was going to say, did you bring your dictionary with you as you're singing?
Every now and then I would just be like, can somebody please explain to me what I am actually saying?
That's the key thing. It's like, I really hope I'm not saying anything offensive, but at the same time, it's in French, so what does it matter,
Hey, Sonya, what was it like when the Impact go up 1-0 and then their hearts are broken with that 15 minutes of destruction from Club America? I wonder if you can describe the atmosphere in that respect.
Everybody was just so hopeful, especially after that first goal, and then all of a sudden it was just a downward spiral into like, oh no. But, people didn't give up, and even though we got to the point where we all kind of realized it was over, the songs didn't stop, the clapping didn't stop, everybody was still standing up, everybody was still focused, and the pride really outweighed the defeat in Montreal then, and so I was really excited to have such a positive experience.
Yeah, well, that's awesome you got to go there. I mean, I watched it on TV wishing I was there, so thank you for letting us live vicariously through you there a little bit.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. And one other one I will ask you about, I see that you were at one of the New York Cosmos games and more recently than that. Hopefully that wasn't a throwback Thursday that I didn't read right.
Also at a baseball stadium.
Yeah, I was noticing that in the picture that there's a baseball stadium in the back. Is this kind of becoming the theme, I guess, of the East Coast?
Oh, well, yeah, it's really interesting, especially because lacrosse is super big on the East Coast too, and then you'll see like lacrosse lines on a field that they're playing soccer on, which I kind of heard happened in Philly last weekend. I'm not super sure. I didn't actually see photos, but
yes, it did. Yep, I saw those. Yes.
So Cosmos normally play at Hofstra University in Long Island, and I was at the opener a couple weeks ago, but they made their first ever Brooklyn debut over the weekend, and they actually had the debut of New York Cosmos B, which is the second team, and a team called Brooklyn Italians played after, so it was a really great doubleheader. Awesome backdrop in Coney Island on some pretty, interesting baseball turf.
I was going to say, looking at the picture, it looks like it's turf, but it is a baseball stadium.
It is totally turf.
Wow. Yeah, the Brooklyn Italians, that's a club with a huge amount of history.
Oh, for sure.
They've won so many U.S. Open Cups back in the day, U.S. Amateur Cups, so that's cool that you got to see them in action as well.
Yeah, Simon's more of the older guy than I am when it comes to remembering. I mean, I know the Italians, but maybe because I am an Italian, I don't know. But I know a different Italian than Simon does.
Right.
But Sonya, well, we're very happy to have you stop by here and chat with us a little bit. We would definitely love to check in with you again, hopefully next week, to get your thoughts about that. Wow, I can't even think of what it was called now. Hudson City, Hudson River, Hudson Bay.
Like Hudson City would be like an offshoot.
Something.
Hudson River. I mean, I've heard it. People are arguing all kinds of different names, but I think the consensus that we're going with is Hudson. Hudson Derby.
Hudson Derby.
So
Yeah, there's
I will be there.
even an article on MLSsoccer.com about the whole debate of what do we call this. So do you know, being
I've seen. I was reading that earlier, I believe.
Yeah, so being from there, do you feel that MLS is trying to force this rivalry maybe just a little too much?
Yes, I think so. I don't know about Sonya, but I definitely think so.
Did we lose her?
Oh, I think we lost her. Hold on.
We lost her.
That is
Well,
a good point that you bring up,
yeah.
though. I think it's ridiculous. You can't. I was having this conversation with her last night when we were chatting about her coming on the show about how you can't force a rivalry. You're telling two teams to hate each other before they've even played a game against each other.
Right, and you even see in the press conferences the players saying, "Yeah, I hate that team." Actually, no, I got a bunch of friends on the team,
Yeah,
so I don't really hate them.
We're
yet.
super fun. Like they love the great guys. Like I get it. And she was, because she's a DC United fan, and she was saying how she just hates Red Bull fans. And Red Bulls as a whole, and that makes sense.
The Atlantic Cup, which they fight for every year between each other, those games mean something every single time, and it's so exciting to see that. And one thing I've never told you, Baxter, DC United was my first MLS team.
Was it really?
It was.
Did you hear that, Sonya? Simon's first MLS team.
I appreciate that.
Come on.
I'll tell you why.
There's no love for the Revolution.
No, listen, I'll tell you why. Because when the league launched, DC was the only team that actually had a logo that looked like a soccer logo and uniforms that looked like soccer uniforms. So it was what was I then? I was back in undergrad. I don't know. But yeah, when it launched, that was my club because, again, they looked like an authentic club, not all the stuff that came out with the launch of the league, all the crazy uniforms. I look back now and think, wow, that was a real party going on. But DC looked like the authentic thing.
Yeah, they certainly did. But you mean, come on, give a little credit to the Revolution. Their logo isn't bad.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, it looks like a knockoff.
Over New York this weekend, so.
Yeah, and we were, before we lost you there, before we let you go, we do want to get your thoughts about this derby. Is it being forced? Is the rivalry being forced, or what is your thoughts?
Some people certainly do think that way, and especially coming from being a pretty big DC United fan, Red Bulls are our big rivals. So it's like, trying to steal my rivalry away from me. But no, it's interesting because it's the first time that either team has played each other. Lots of social media shots have been fired.
Yeah, we've noticed that.
Twitter wars going on.
which is funny because I think the fans are going to make it a bigger deal than the players might, unless something controversial happens, obviously, on the field. Then they'll have reason to do it. But for me, as a Revolution fan, the Revolution don't have one clear rival. The Chicago Fire are one of our big rivals because we met them consecutively in the playoffs for so many years, and that went either one of two ways. But even with DC United and the Red Bulls, we don't hate the Red Bulls, to my knowledge. We don't hate DC United too badly. I don't like DC United just because they keep defying my predictions and power rankings, but that's a whole nother thing. But I really hope that this rivalry does develop in a healthy way, though, and not in the area where it's forced. And it's kind of like when it's kind of like when you remarry and you have the stepkids try to meet each other. It's like, we want you to be siblings, but we don't want you to, it's one of those things where you want it to work, but you don't want to force it at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. Here's another question for you. We keep saying derby, and of course in Europe they would call them derbies. So
yeah, derby.
What's everybody on the East Coast saying? Are they saying derby or derby?
Oh, well, I have some pretty mixed, reactions about that because I have some friends who are Euro snobs or,
Don't we all?
So they're derby all day. And I was like, well, I normally just say derby because I say a lot of weird, harsh R's being from Baltimore. So derby all day, yeah.
Call it the Dorby, something, Just pick a different vowel and change it up a little bit. But, wow, well, that's exciting, Sonya. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we look forward to hopefully having you on in the near future. And have fun this weekend. And who are you cheering for?
Oh, gosh. Well, come on. I've been to a couple NYCFC matches this season. NYC, New York City, is kind of second home to me. I spend a lot of my time. But I think that the Red Bulls are going to be the winner of this.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling you get. I mean, knowing our luck and all the media build up to it as well, it'll end up being like a 0-0 draw.
Right.
Right. Simon's the king of picking draws when we do our predictions. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I think that the Red Bulls are going to be a little mad coming off a 2-1 loss to the Revolution.
Yeah.
And might fuel their fire a little bit. But at the same time, NYCFC lost 3-1 to the Sounders.
Right.
So
They haven't actually won a game in 7 matches. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
It's been a while.
we'll see. All right. Well, Sonya, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to chatting with you again in the future. And have fun this weekend.
Yeah, good luck with all that
Thank
DC United Stadium talk going on right now.
Oh,
Hope that
I
gets
know.
done.
Yeah.
I hope so too, because RFK might fall down.
That's right.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Sonya, where can people find you on Twitter and Instagram to follow your journey?
I am at Sonya Karate, like karate, the martial art, SONYAKARATE. It's an old nickname, and now that's my social media handle across the board for everything.
Perfect. You didn't want to try to fit Kondratenka on Twitter?
Yeah, no, it's just too hard.
Perfect. Well, Sonya, thanks again. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. I swear, I want her life. I really do. It's not even fair. But Simon, it's fun. I mean, thinking about looking.
Kidding me? Absolutely.
And these are just in the last year that we were talking about games that she's gone to, and she's name dropping, here, there, and everywhere. Like, oh, I've been to this game. I was at the inaugural NYCFC Orlando game, and I'm just like, stop. I wanna live her life even for a little bit.
It's so great though to be living in a time where you got people that's what they do. They schedule their work around soccer so they can go see more soccer.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Nothing
I
wrong
love
at
that,
all.
and that's what you and I want to do. Hopefully, one of these days.
Someday,
right?
someday.
When we're old and retired, well, or not. I mean, when I'm old and retired. No, anyway, all right, Simon. Well, it is time for our 50-50 segment.
Brought to you by the Wisconsin Sports Group.
Yes, indeed. Brought to you by the Wisconsin Sports Group. Simon, I'll let you introduce the segment this week.
All right, so the 50-50, Baxter and I will take on a topic. We'll each take one side of that topic. We get 45 seconds each, like 45 minutes and a half in soccer, so a total is 90 seconds. And this week we are taking on the topic of Eric Cubo Torres. His Mexican coach, Miguel Herrera, came out and said that he should have stayed in MLS instead of going over to Chivas USA. Actually, Herrera had some really nice compliments for the league.
Okay.
So,
Well, you get to go first this week. I went last week, so
all right.
45 seconds on the clock, sir, for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
So I'm a big champion of MLS, and I love the fact that Herrera is a Mexican team national coach. He recognizes what's going on with this league, but surprisingly, I'm actually going to disagree. Torres has not been doing well in Mexico. He did have a goal in the Copa MX game for Chivas Guadalajara, I believe this last week, but he has not been playing in many league games. When he hasn't performed that well. At the same time, I will say that I think it's good for him to go to Liga MX for a bit, to challenge himself. He was at Chivas USA. He made a big name for himself there, so he knows MLS. He'll be back with Houston in July. I don't think he's going to lose a step by going down to Mexico and playing with Chivas Guadalajara. So he got that experience. Hey, he got to know more Mexican national teammates. So I think in the end it's going to be fine.
So you're saying he should not be in MLS. He should be... No,
I'm saying...
you were kind of bouncing back and forth.
No. What I was saying is that he's on loan right now from
Yes.
Houston to Chivas.
So you think he should...
And I think that was fine. I think it was great that he went down to Mexico and got that experience.
Okay.
Because he's going to be coming back to MLS anyways.
Okay.
So he was in MLS, went to Mexico. He'll be back in MLS. So those 6 months that he's in Mexico, no problem.
Okay, I'm just trying to fully understand where you're... I don't even know if I fully understand your argument, in all honesty.
When you listen to the show, I think you'll understand it better. But no, I think it's actually a simple argument that why not experience the Mexican League? Why not challenge yourself? That's my overall point.
Got it.
There's nothing wrong with going there for 6 months. You know? Like when Landon Donovan went to Everton for a couple of months.
Nothing wrong with that.
Fantastic.
I'm sure you were
over
fine
there.
with that.
I was great with that.
You're like, Landon Donovan, Everton. Woo! Did you get a Donovan jersey?
I did not.
I didn't know if you're going to be that kind of fanboy.
No, well, I wasn't in a great financial place to be buying
Fair enough. Kids will do
$90
that too,
jerseys. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, well, 45 seconds on the clock for me to continue the second half here.
So just to be clear, I said it was okay for him to go to Mexico.
Yes, you did.
All right. All right, Baxter, here we go. And we're blowing the whistle.
All right. Well, I think, in all honesty, he should have stayed in MLS. As you saw last season, when it goes to Chivas USA, he had a fantastic breakout year. He was making a name for himself. The Mexican players in MLS were recognizing that he was one of the best. But then he also was scoring goals in bunches. We saw multiple goals that he scored last season in MLS be considered for Goal of the Year candidates. He had bicycle kicks. He had scissor kicks. He had any type of kitchen utensil you can name a kick after, and he basically was scoring goals that way. Yes, I understand going to Mexico is important for his growth for the Mexican national team, but when the national team coach is praising MLS, stay and help continue to grow Major League Soccer as a whole and continue to go where you're scoring more goals, even if the play might be quote-unquote bad.
Boom, done.
Time's up.
I was waiting until it actually hit 45.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So here's the challenge I'd throw out to you. If this is ultimately okay, then why isn't Herrera telling more of his players to play in MLS?
Yes.
Let me just throw out there a cool quote. Again, if you're an MLS fanboy, which we will admit
we really are.
But with an objective view. But he did say, a lot of people criticize MLS. It's a solid league. That's great to hear. And, solid isn't the greatest compliment
but
to
it's
get.
Still better than most.
Right. We have the Italian national team coach saying Giovinco should play in MLS because it's going to be the league of the future. You got the Mexican coach saying the same thing.
Well, last I checked, the Mexican and Italian soccer organizations were relatively credible.
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, last I heard. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for our new power rankings and predictions. Brought to you by ShopFutsal.com. This is 2 Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to another edition of 2 Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Baxter Colburn.
This is Simon Provan.
I almost forgot my own name for a second. I don't know why, but I'm like, who am I? I don't really know, but I figured it out, thankfully, in time.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
All right, Simon. Well, we've had a fun show so far. We've had Andy Davi, the owner of the new expansion club, Milwaukee Torrent. The professional soccer, not indoor soccer. They are bringing outdoor soccer back to Milwaukee, and they are excited for that. And we had James Weber, not only a soccer player from Switzerland /
Well, he's from Hartford.
He is.
Went to Sweden. Played in Sweden.
That's right. I'm sorry. All the S's in Europe.
You need coffee this week. I was the one who needed it last week. Anyways, he was the first player signing.
Yes.
And it was a great interview. Happy to have those guys on.
Yes, we were very excited to have them on. And then we just had Sonya Kondratenka on the show as well, a MLS traveler, as it were, a freelancer, as it were. She has been to many MLS games, and she will be at the Hudson Derby this weekend as NYCFC takes on the New York Red Bulls. And she was recently at the CONCACAF second leg Champions League game for the Impact and Club America. So a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Now we actually got to talk about real soccer stuff.
We do.
It's not as fun. Not as fun. But we have
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm kidding. It's fun. But I like when guests are on, too.
I love it, yeah.
I mean, it's a good time. We talk to each other every day.
That's
but
true.
It's fun having people in there to break it up, as it were. All right, Simon. Well, our new power rankings are out, and we had a little bit of a scuffle as we were trying to figure out a clear number one. But we will get to the number one, obviously, in just a minute. But let's start at the bottom.
Let's start at the bottom. How about we start outside of the rankings?
Yes.
We have 3 teams in there that
we
I
have
think,
bubble teams.
Yeah, we have the Fire, who was in our rankings, and if I remember correctly, they were number 6 or thereabout. Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
No, that was an old one.
Okay. Well, anyways, the Fire was up there. They had 3 road wins, and we did say last week, you know what, though, they've been beating teams that really aren't that great. Reality check this weekend. Now, they played really well against Sporting in Kansas City, but they did end up losing that 1-0. So, again, perhaps we're seeing the reality of the Fire. Real Salt Lake, perhaps they could be in, but they need to start scoring some goals to get back into these power rankings. And lastly, we do have TFC closing in. Listen, they are finished with their 7-game road trip to open the season.
Finally.
They finally get to play at home in their newly expanded BMO Stadium. I almost said BMO Harris, but no, it's just BMO. So now it starts to get real for the Reds here.
It does, and we've seen that a lot of their driving force of their success has been because of the Atomic Ant.
That's right.
Why would you want that as a nickname, Simon? It's kind of like Super Raton. Like, come on.
I've always been one that give me a nickname. I like it.
I suppose. I was... where was I? Oh, I was playing FIFA the other day, and I was playing FC Dallas, and I can't even think of the guy's name now. What's his real name? Raton's real name. Oh my gosh, for FC Dallas, Blas Perez.
Blas Perez.
I can't think of his real name. They have that on his jersey.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
very cool.
I think it's Raton Perez on his jersey.
Very
but I'm
cool.
like, look at that! Look at FIFA. Well done. I thought that made my day. It's the little things in life, Simon.
Right. Yes, that's good.
Anyway,
that's good.
I have a life. I promise. I'm getting married in like 3 weeks. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so starting at number 10, they continue to fall and fall and fall and fall and fall, even though they have 17 points. They are in a 4-way tie with most points in MLS, but they got those way too early in the season and haven't done anything since. That would be the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Yep, they did have that 0-0 draw in Portland, Providence Park there. So basically it barely keeps them in the rankings. It's like, all right, we're going to give you guys the benefit of the doubt.
There's only so much you can't blame them completely. They still, like we said, they're in a 3-way or 4-way tie for most points in MLS.
Right.
So you have to give a little bit of credit. They're technically 4th in Supporters' Shield. You got to give them some credit. They're not a bad team. I think they're just starting to have a little bit of a crisis because they thought they were untouchable, and now recently they've been very touchable.
Well, let's also see here, too. They've played 10 games, and everybody above them has played 9 or 8.
Yes.
And quite a few below them have played 8 or 9. So.
Yeah, you even look at TFC in Chicago. They've only both played 7 games. Montreal's only played 4 games.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to judge them fully off of all the teams that have played 10 games.
But moving on, number 9, we have the San Jose Earthquakes. That's right, the Earthquakes. This team looks to be real again. You got, Dominic Kinnear. Is it Kinnear? I think it's Kinnear. He returns to Houston, gets 3 points from his former club, which, by the way, that was the club that used to be in San Jose, so you could say that he is now with his former club. You follow that? Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. School's over, Simon. I don't care.
They got a decent win down in Houston, so Dominic returns home, gets that 1-0 win. And before that, they had a decent 1-1 draw with RSL, so San Jose is on the up and up.
I don't know. San Jose is similar to DC United. I have a hard time believing just how real they might actually be, personally.
I definitely have a hard time believing San Jose, but looking how they're playing all of a sudden, you can't deny that they're getting their results.
How much longer do you think Wando's got left?
Well, I think Klinsmann thinks he's got about 15 years left. I don't know. I mean, I'll go with 5 more years.
You think he's got 5 more years?
Well, I think he can play for 5 more.
That's true.
At that level of scoring goals all the time, no.
Okay.
But I'll give him 5 years in the league.
Fair enough. All right, well, then you have Sporting Kansas City at number 8. After they have a 4-4 blitzkrieg fest against the Houston Dynamo and just an insane game, then they go back home. And they get challenged heavily by the Chicago Fire. And then we were talking about this a little bit before the show, how dangerous the Fire looked. They looked like they were going to take the game, and then out of nowhere, Pablo Nagamura with the goal gives SKC a 1-0 lead.
So, and that's what's it. That's how they don't just enter at number 10. They pop up to number 8 right away because they took a lot from the Fire and gave it right back to them and ended up walking out of their stadium with a win.
Which is what you need to do. That I'm not going to lie. I was watching some of that game. Their field looked gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, my gosh.
Down at Sporting?
Sporting Park just looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Number 7, we were a little upset how this game went, just in terms of, I mean, it lived up to the hype, but it didn't. The DC United Columbus Crew game, Columbus, who was at our number 7 spot, loses 2-0 to DC United before 90 minutes. DC scored 2 goals before 90 minutes, which I'm a little bitter about, but it's all good.
But it's only their first loss in 5 games.
Exactly, so how critical can you be of the Columbus Crew, honestly?
Right.
All right, number 6.
Number 6, we have a team that has yet another draw, 0-0 last night.
Talk about an identity crisis.
Absolutely. Unless this is their identity, draw after draw after draw. Well, we have a few teams like that. They're not losing, and they it's impressive. So this is the Alley Galaxy. They're playing RSL last night in a very delayed match due to lightning and rain. They should have won, but Nick Rimando, that guy's a beast. I don't know if you saw the save that he had on the the stoppage time PK. Plus, it wasn't played too well from Janino. However, they have drawn 3 in a row, so their position is starting to get a little shaky here on the 2 up front power rankings.
Yeah, and it's hard. Like we said, it's hard to know who the real LA Galaxy is because they've got all their players and they don't have all their players, and they have their players, and it's like, well, they're not really losing, they're not really doing terrible at the same time, but they're not winning at the same time.
Right. And then you have a team at number 5 that is winning, but they still have a bit of identity crisis of every game that they play seems to be a bit different. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, number 5 for us is FC Dallas. They were the hottest team to begin the season, along with Vancouver, and now recently they've been they haven't lost in their last 3 games. They've won 2 and drawn 1. After being surprisingly destroyed by the Colorado Rapids 4-0 a few weeks ago,
right?
And by Portland, too.
Right, but then they come back. They have 4-1 thrashing on Houston, but let's face it, Houston's been getting beat up pretty good.
They have.
1-0 loss to San Jose this past week.
Houston can't wait for Kubo Torres to come soon
enough,
enough,
my goodness,
honestly.
Right.
They don't have real forward play. Will Bruin's not the answer.
The Rapids are they're not in our rankings, but the Rapids, I don't know if you saw, they're getting some reinforcements with Kevin Doyle coming over since Wolverhampton did not get promoted. He's actually coming over a couple months early. He was supposed to come over in July.
Huge for the club. That might be the surge they need.
That could be.
Who needs the Beatles? The British invasion and Irish invasion are coming this summer, and people are excited for it.
We have we talk about the LA Galaxy being the draw kings, but Colorado, my goodness, seems like every game 1-1, 0-0, 1-1.
This is how their season starts: 3 draws, a loss, a win, a loss, 3 draws. They're not losing.
And as you keep saying, if they're in the East, they're in the playoffs.
They're in the playoffs. So just maybe Colorado next year should go to the East.
There you go.
Let's expand the conference even more.
All right, I will let you take number 4.
I know. I was just about to say, are you going to say the S word this week, or do I get to keep saying it? Number 4 is the Seattle Sounders. Now a very interesting last week they've had. They beat Portland 1-0 in probably one of the boringest. Is that a word? Boringest.
It is now.
Most boring, funner. And that's kind of English doesn't always work for me, but in one of the more boring games we've seen all year, Clint Dempsey scoring that goal in the 77th minute with just a little, oop, there it is, tap in. That's what you're supposed to do as a forward.
Sure.
And then they go and they put 3 goals in against NYCFC. Ooh, NYCFC. I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to take anything away from the Sounders, but at the same time, look at who they're beating, Simon.
Right.
And that's not a dig against the Timbers, but the Timbers are not doing very well so far.
They're not doing well. They're searching. Valeri's back. I'm excited about that. That'll be great for them. But yeah, I agree with you, Baxter. The Seattle team, MLS just loves them up so much. They have them number 1 in their power rankings. And I don't want to begrudge MLSsoccer.com
but they're not,
too much.
Though. They're not number 1 worthy.
Not when you have teams that we're going to talk about in a minute playing consistently great soccer from the beginning of the season. Seattle's, okay, fine. You take care of NYCFC 3-1, but they've got 1 win on the season, New York does. One win on the season. They're not a convincing team.
Not at all.
What I will say is Seattle played some really patient football in that game. They let it was, I don't know if you've ever seen Rocky IV. It's when Rocky's boxing against Ivan Drogba, I believe, the Russian guy, and Rocky takes the stance where he lets the Russian beat him up like crazy to tire the guy out.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like that's what Seattle did with New York in that game this past week. And like, all right, let him come at us. All right, good. Now let's go and destroy him.
Yeah, now Obafemi Martins is going to go score 2, breathtaking goals and just continue to destroy everybody. All right, Simon, who's at number 3 for us?
Number 3, we got your club, Baxter, the New England Revolution.
Are you sure about that?
No, I'm not sure about that.
Because you have DC United on here twice. That's why I was going to let you take it, because I'm like, I don't know who he wants at 3rd place. Is it the Red Bulls that's supposed to be there?
Yes, it is supposed to be the Red Bulls.
That's because I didn't want to assume. I thought so, but I wasn't sure. But
I'm glad you waited to call me out on that during the show.
Well, I didn't. I realized that I was looking at this during the show, and I'm like, I don't want to stop the show and be like, hey, what are you gonna do? Anyway, 3rd place.
I'm gonna fix this as we're talking.
Sounds good. 3rd place is the New York Red Bulls. They lose 2-1 to my beloved New England Revolution over the weekend. They're not playing horrible at all. In all honesty, they are. They're 8th overall in the Supporters' Shield, but at the same time, that's their only real loss this year.
Their first loss, and let's face it, they just played 3 games in 7 or 8 days.
You would have to be.
They were tired that game.
Yeah,
and yet they had tied it up. They almost walked out of there with a point.
They did.
So it was 1-1 for a long stretch, but the Revolution came in and took care of business.
They do, and they're classic at doing that. After starting off 0-2, now the Revolution are number 2. this week on our power rankings have done a significantly better job. They have not lost a game in their last 7 games. They are looking very, very good. They're 5-0-2.
And they beat our number one.
So hopefully DC loses this week.
No, I'm impressed with the Revolution, the way they're playing. It was nice to see Charlie Davies. I don't know if it was his last game or the game before. He had that beautiful goal.
Yeah,
running
he's
in,
had some consistent
in.
scoring in as of recent. And it's nice because New England's one of those teams where it's not just one guy. It's like with Seattle, you know it's going to be Obafemi Martins 95% of the time that's going to get the ball, that's going to try to score. New England has multiple options, whether or not nobody's a dynamic breakout player. Because, even you can make the argument that Lee Wynn has kind of decreased now recently because he hasn't played very well this season.
He has not, no.
But the great thing is, though, that they have multiple options at midfield and forward.
And to start a fracas after a game, too.
Yeah, exactly. There's always that.
I don't know if you saw that. Jermaine Jones got fined. And
I did not.
Him and another Red Bulls player got fined for their... after confrontation of the game.
Well, one other thing I do want to say about the Revolution is that now there's talks coming out that Lee Wynn is unsettled. He wants more money. He wants a bigger contract, especially after being one of the best players in Major League Soccer last year, rightfully so. We'll see if New England has the capital to keep him around. I think it would be good to keep him around, but he had a huge drop-off. The regular season last season, he was fantastic. Lights out, got to the playoffs, did almost nothing, and has done pretty much nothing this season.
Yeah, it's interesting. He got called up to the national team, deservedly so, and it seems like since then, as you said, he's had a drop off.
I would be fine with re-signing him if I were Jay Heaps, but at the same time, I'd say, look, you haven't stayed consistent, and I get it. People get hot streaks, but to demand a new contract, you got to have some bargaining rights.
Absolutely, you do.
We'll see what happens with that, and as that story develops over the next few weeks, we'll have to touch on that again. But our new number one this week, Simon, another only one-loss team.
Lost in the second week, and so they've been on 6-game unbeaten streak. The team that Baxter still refuses to believe in, but 2-0 win against Columbus Crew, a strong Columbus Crew. They're not only shutting teams out, they're scoring goals. That was one of your requirements, Baxter. Mm-hmm. DC United is our number one team in the 2 upfront power rankings this week.
But I will say this, that the Revolution haven't lost a game either since week 2.
They've
been undefeated in 7 games. Just saying. I don't know. I actually commend them.
We talked about this before the show. That I said, "What do you think about New England at number 1?" And your response was, "I'm not sure yet."
Exactly. No, you're absolutely correct about that, and I'm completely fine with that. Looking at it, DC United has outscored their opponents 10-6. New England has done it 12-8, but New England also has one game over United as well.
Right, and you look at the points per game, which I think is a more telling picture than any of the stats. They're at 2.13 versus New England at 1.89. Either way you look at it, both of these clubs are playing extremely well. They are the teams to beat in the East. I don't know if I'd still say the teams to beat in Major League Soccer. According to our power rankings, yes, they are. But the Western Conference, it's tough to see that through the same lens as we look at the Eastern Conference teams, because we're expecting teams like New England and DC to end up with more points because of how weak the East is. So even with our own rankings, we'll have to admit there may be some flaw in there when we're not really looking purely at the conferences themselves.
Yes, and look at just the drop-off between the number 1 spot. The Revolution in the East have 17 points. The 6th place team that technically makes the playoffs, the Chicago Fire, have 9 points. Now looking at the West, FC Dallas is number 1. They have 17 points, and Sporting Kansas City, who's in 6th, has 13 points.
And even then, the 7th place team, 11 points. Portland Timbers are at 10. So
everybody but the Colorado Rapids makes the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. I'm just saying, if you're looking at it from a points perspective. And that Philly Union, Montreal, we'll see. Montreal now that they're going to start playing league play again, which we'll talk about now, as we were going to jump into our predictions, brought to you in part by the shopfutsal.com. Simon, you have a winner.
We do. Hey, first of all, thank you, folks. 10 of you guys took up the challenge. 10 of you picked up the challenge and won after your $25 gift card from shopfutsal.com. We do have a winner, but since this is the first week we had so many people participate, I will let everybody know what their records were, and then we'll announce the winner. So, TC Ward came in. Actually, Megan Ward, you get the prize for being last in our predictions. Actually, I coach with Megan. So
okay, I was like, is that actually
So Megan got 1 pick out of 11 correct.
That'll leave a mark.
Bigger brother, though, didn't fare too well. 3 out of the 11. Brad Kostreva, Josh Provan, Yes, family member. 3
Stuff in the
out of
ballot.
8. No, they actually didn't do too well. Josh Provan's wife, Tina, did better than he did.
There you go, Tina.
4 out of
Get her on
4
the
out of the
show.
11. And let's see here, Marcelo.
He's one of my groomsmen.
Taborga Castro.
Yeah, Marseille.
Marcelo, you also got 4 out of the 11. Then we had a winning record here. We have
We
Tony.
broke 500.
Yeah,
They could make the playoffs in the East.
Well, Marcelo might have made the playoffs in the
He
East.
probably would have. He's a hybrid DC United Portland Timbers fan.
Oh, you know what? There's one person I didn't figure out, and it was the first guy that signed up for this, Ryan Cooper. Mr. Cooper, I apologize.
Oh, no.
I don't have your record for you.
We can
Maybe
figure it
I'll
out
figure
while
it
we're
out.
doing this.
Right. Anyways, Tony Palladino was at 6-5. And the big winner,
Bum, 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 bum.
he kicked everybody's booty,
really
including
did.
Baxter and I,
Oh, I gave it to him.
at 8-3. So 8
Wow.
correct picks.
Thomas Formoso, well done, sir. A former writer friend of mine. Congratulations, sir. We will make sure to get you hooked up with everything that you won. Your $25 Shop Futsal gift card, sir. Don't
So
use it all in
Thomas,
one place.
we will be Facebooking you a message that has a $25 promotional code for you to use at shopfutsal.com.
Oh yeah. Do we want to try to figure out that other guy's?
We
record
should.
fast?
We should.
Well, we'll do it. We have a minute. We'll do it on air fast.
All right. So Ryan Cooper, you had the correct win at Dallas. There's one. RSL versus
That was
San
a tie.
Jose.
How are we figuring out draws so people know?
This is what I did, just like I do with us.
Yes.
You either pick the winner or it's a loss.
Got it. Okay.
So if you
That's
pick a
fair.
winner and it's a draw, then
Yeah.
that's what it
Fair
is.
enough. So okay. So 1-1.
So where are we at here?
Philly,
He picked TFC to win.
2-1.
So that's 2-1. DC to win. Uh-oh, did I mess this up?
3-1.
3-1. New England Red Bulls he called a draw.
Okay. 3-2.
Galaxy,
3-3.
Vancouver 3-4.
3-4.
Chicago 3-5.
3-5.
Seattle, that's 4-5.
4-5.
And then Houston and the Galaxy,
Oh.
4-6.
4-7.
4-7. So Mr. Cooper,
Oh.
you're at Coach Cooper 4-7.
All right. Well, yes. Once again, Thomas Formoso, our new champion, our first ever champion. Congratulations, sir. And Simon, you had a lot of free time on your hands.
That's it. I was going through. By the way, Baxter, I did an update on our predictions. I went back and listened to the past shows.
Okay.
You've got me by 1 game so far.
Woo!
You were 4-8 last week because we had our extra Canadian
We
championship
did. We
match
did that
in there.
FC Edmonton Vancouver
So,
game.
and I was 6-6. So you're at 28-42 overall. I'm at 27-43 overall.
If this is like a baseball season, I've got plenty of time.
I was so happy because there was 1 week where you almost went completely winless. But because the U.S. and Mexico played, you got to win that week.
I believe. Oh, my goodness.
So I've been sneaking up on you. There was a week where you had me by 5 games. So watch out, brother. I'm coming for you.
I'm ready for it. Bring it on. Not even worried. No, I'm slightly worried. All right, Simon. Well, time to offer our new predictions for this week. These are also sponsored by ShopFutsal.com.
That's right. And ShopFutsal.com is throwing out another $25 credit. So for the 10 of you that played, awesome. Thank you. Let's get you back on the boards. And I know a few of you said, hey, I haven't watched much of MLS this year. You know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
What we want you to do is we want you to check out ShopFutsal.com. And we want you to win this $25 gift certificate. And, of course, we want you to interact with us. So there's some selfish reasons for having you do this? Absolutely. Of course there are. But we want to make this fun for everybody. So give yourself a chance, whether you watch the league or not. Pick some teams. See if you win.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, Simon, are you ready, sir, for our new
I
predictions?
think I am.
All right.
I am.
Starting. What are you, the little engine that could? I think I'll pick. I don't know. All right. Starting off on Friday evening, you have Orlando and the New England Revolution. I mean, come on.
We don't have to talk about it.
Honestly.
Well, New England is visiting Orlando.
They are.
Well, whatever.
Not even
New
worried.
England.
Not even worried. New England is my pick as well. Colorado and San Jose. I have the Rapids winning this game.
I've got a draw.
You
And
got a
it's
draw.
fair for me now to
You
call
can,
a draw
'cause
when
yes.
it's Colorado.
See, I like to pick outright winners because I would like to hope, even though I'm well
Sure,
aware that
sure.
soccer is all about, you can draw. I totally get that, but I'd like to believe that people will actually win the game.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be too upfront right now. When I see a game that involves San Jose and Colorado, you know what thought runs through my mind?
Yeah. Wake up, Simon! Simon.
It's still 0-0.
Oh, still 0-0. And Simon,
And there's nothing exciting.
Yeah, it's the 95th minute. Oh, wait. Oh, somebody scored. No, wait. That's a DC United game. Anyway, all right. Chicago Fire and RSL. I've got the Fire winning this game.
I do as well.
Oh,
I
interesting.
think they're playing well. You know what's going to keep RSL in the game is Nick Raimondo.
Yes, he always does.
This very well could end up as a draw.
It could.
But I think it's definitely going to be a low-scoring affair. RSL's not scoring. Chicago's not scoring. But I'm going with Chicago.
I could see like a 1-0 game or maybe a 1-1 game, something like that. Sean Johnson, Nick Raimondo, two really good goalkeepers in Major League Soccer. Moving forward, Montreal and Portland. I believe, Simon, that Montreal shall win.
You do. I was thinking about that, and my gut's still kind of saying Montreal, so this may be another game that you get on me, but Valeri's back. I don't know how much he's going to play, but I'm going to go with Portland.
All right. Fair enough. We'll see what happens.
Montreal did win their first game in the Canadian Championship, by the way.
They did. They went 1-0 on TFC.
TFC, Jack Mack, once again, scoring a goal. So that's part of it, I think Montreal's got that extra game on their legs.
Montreal, the kings of not playing MLS games and doing well.
Well, but, they prioritize Champions League. So now they're going to put all their money back into MLS.
They played twice this week, so we'll see kind of how they do with that. All right, DC United and Sporting Kansas City. I have SKC winning this game.
I'm going with DC again. I think this is I think right now, if we were to look at this is minus the whole New York thing. Talent-wise, this is the game of the week.
It is. It really is. You want to definitely keep a close eye on this one.
Did I pick a team? Picking
DC.
DC.
You took DC.
Okay.
Yep, you
all right.
said
Just
that.
making sure.
Vancouver and Philadelphia. So Vancouver is playing themselves, basically.
Right. Yep.
I've got Vancouver winning this game.
I got Vancouver as well.
Seattle and Columbus.
Well, this is another. If there's another game to argue with being the game of the week, this is the one.
You could look at the LA.
Oh, this is a good week.
It is.
Holy cow!
For once, it's nice to have some real games to watch. Seattle, Columbus, what do you got?
Columbus is at home. I'm tempted to pick them, but I'm going to go against my gut again here and go with Seattle.
All right. Simon actually said the S word.
Here's the deal, is that this is the game that says it all.
It does.
Is Seattle like MLS Soccer claims, MLSsoccer.com claims, or are they the team that you and I suspect that they are?
That's a very good question.
I
think the Seattle Sounders will win this game, honestly. FC Dallas and the Galaxy. We still said the Galaxy have a bit of an identity crisis, and I think FC Dallas is going to capitalize on that this week. FC Dallas wins this game, in my opinion.
I will tell you what, I had this game as a draw, and I'm not doing this to try to even things out. I'm thinking about Castillo.
Sure.
The way he's on fire right now. I got to change my pick. I'm going with FC Dallas.
Okay. Toronto FC and Houston. Will the Atomic Ant continue to spark the revolution? Will he lead the goals back to the queen of the ant colony? I'm just reaching for ant metaphors now. Toronto wins this game.
Yes, Toronto does win.
Yep, Toronto, Houston. Houston needs forwards.
They need forwards.
Will Bruin, the dancing bear. That's an awful last.
They need to figure out a whole lot over there, too. For a couple of weeks there, they looked like they were a great team to have in the West, and now they're getting beat. They're getting beat to the ball. They're getting beat all over the place.
Yes, I just am
and this is Toronto's first game at home on the season.
It'd be hard to bet against them, honestly. All right, then the Hudson Derby, as it were, the Red Bulls and NYCFC. I have the Red Bulls winning.
I got the
game.
Red Bulls as well.
NYC, you need Frankie. I think they need Frankie to come over and help them
I'm telling you, he's not going to help this first season because we see it every year. Mm-hmm. These mid-season acquisitions, they got to adjust to the league first.
I agree. We'll see. We'll absolutely see.
And we'll see what happens, too, with Gerard and LA Galaxy.
I know. I think that'll work out just fine, honestly. And then we are also including the Canadian Championship games.
These are our bonus picks. You don't have to pick these. These are our bonus picks.
Yep, exactly. TFC Montreal. I've got TFC winning this game.
I do as well.
DC United Orlando. They are in regular season play. I have DC United winning this game.
Of course I have DC, yes.
Yep. And then Vancouver going back to the snowy side of Canada.
Well, they're they're going back to Vancouver, so they've had to flip
the
things. Yeah, they had to flip things. So actually, Vancouver doesn't get the return leg now, which is what was planned. So, but I think actually will work to their advantage.
Yes,
because they're going to win this game. Mm-hmm. They're going to put in a bunch of goals. When they were at Edmonton, I felt very confident that Edmonton would win that. But I think Vancouver's going to take this one. How about you?
Yep, I agree with Vancouver winning this game as well. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got our I Believe segment and a quick look in on the UEFA Champions League. and then we'll be signing off for another edition. So we will be right back. This is 2 Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to another edition of 2 Up Front, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Baxter Colburn.
This is Simon Provan.
All right, Simon, we are going to chat a little bit about the UEFA Champions League as the first legs of the semifinals are officially in the bag. And my goodness, what a first leg it was for both games. You have Real Madrid and Juventus and Barcelona versus Bayern Munich.
I thought it was Messi versus...
Messi versus Germany national team.
Right.
That's, I think, how it really should have been phrased. But we'll get to that game in a second. The first one that took place on Tuesday, you had Juventus hosting Real Madrid, and a very surprising finish into this game as Juventus claims a 2-1 victory over Real Madrid. And we had this conversation, Simon. I find it so difficult that Real Madrid does not blow every team out of the water with the amount of talent that they have on the field at one time. But with all that talent comes egos, comes money, comes I want to score, I want to be the hero.
You look at the history of Real Madrid, you know, the Galacticos that they had out there with Zidane and, oh boy, now I'm blanking. Beckham was there.
Yeah, David Beckham.
Raul
Roberto
was
Carlos,
there.
Ronaldo,
yeah,
the old guys.
You know, you had all these great players there. That has not been an unusual thing. So it's been in their history, and I think you nailed it. As that sometimes you have not too much talent, but too much attitude.
Yes,
you know,
and that can come back to hurt a team, honestly. And we've seen that, and we thought Real Madrid may have fixed that after giving up an early 8-minute goal to Alvaro Morata. He scored a nice little tap-in goal. It's what you're supposed to do as a forward.
Right,
just follow up and finish.
I mean, it was a great shot to begin with, and then he just followed up, bounced off the keeper, and boom, in the goal. That's exactly what I'm teaching my kids what to do. You follow that shot.
You gotta always follow. And then Ronaldo, a beautiful heading goal, a beautiful flick on by James. And Ronaldo, literally point-blank range. You got to put that in.
You do, and especially, one of the things, again, when I'm trying to teach my kids is look at the off-the-ball movement that Ronaldo has. You know, he's eyeing that goal. He sneaks behind about 4 or 5 defenders. I mean, are you kidding me? The one person you don't mark is Ronaldo?
You kind of got to mark him, in all honesty. And there was a chance in the 41st minute where James Rodriguez, literally on the doorstep, blasts a beautiful header right into the post.
Bar music being played.
Oh, my gosh. As a Real Madrid fan watching that game, I was like, no, what's going on? And then in the 57th minute, Carlos Tevez gets taken down in the box. and a yellow card is issued, and Tevez will step to the spot and slot home what will end up being the game-winning penalty
Well,
kick.
and it was a clear penalty, too.
It was.
You know, it's from behind. Maybe the guy didn't get his leg too much, but it's from behind. The attempt was there.
Yes.
What a great run he had, though, from midfield all the way down to the goal.
He
That
did.
was
It really
fantastic.
seemed like it was going to be a one-on-one situation. And to be fair to Iker Casillas, he missed blocking the ball with his foot by literally a half an inch.
Right,
He
right.
barely missed it. But overall, Juventus takes the first leg 2-1 at home, so we'll see what happens with that as the game goes to Madrid for the second leg. Juventus outshot them in terms of shots on goal, 7-4. But as a whole, more fouls for Juventus, 21 fouls. Real Madrid only had 13. Real Madrid, as we kind of thought, might have a little bit more possession, 52% to 48%. And one of the things I want to say, too, about this game is that we talked about, if you want to call it a boring game in that regards, and Juventus plays fundamental soccer. When you are a kid growing up in soccer, you are taught to play fundamental soccer before you even think about speed, before you think about technicality. Pass and move, and that's what Juventus did, and that's why some people criticize them, saying, oh, they're so boring to watch. The Italian national team, so boring to watch. It's all they do, fundamental. We want to watch the Barcelonas, the Brazils, the Real Madrids, because they're fast, they're speedy, but it's not always about that. You leave yourself open.
You liken it to basketball.
Yes.
You know, the U.S. National team in basketball for the Olympics, they should be getting gold every single year with the talent that we have in the NBA. But then you get these European teams come over, and they play basketball at the basic skill level.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is fundamentals.
And that's
they
not
play
a
the
diss on
fundamentals.
them at all.
No, not at all. But then you see these, even Argentina, you see them winning these medals over these NBA players. Now, I honestly can't remember what the last Olympics were like, but it was always shocking to me when the Olympics said, or when the U.S. team said, you know what, we're going to allow professionals now. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the first couple of teams, they did awesome. They got those gold medals, but the rest of the world caught up and they started winning the golds again.
Yeah.
Same thing you look at Juventus. You're expecting Real Madrid to just smoke them, but Juventus says, no, you know what? We're going to play patient football. We're going to win this game, and that's exactly what they did.
Yes, indeed. You're absolutely right. Well, looking over to the second game, a bit of a run-and-gun style of game, as it were. Kind of a boring game up until late in the game. Manuel Neuer doing what he does best, stone-cold saves multiple times. I saw a picture where he stopped a ball with his head one time.
Is that right? I didn't see that
and
one.
Luis Suarez were just going at it the entire game.
And what's amazing is that Luis Suarez didn't bite him.
I know. I was waiting for that, honestly. I did see memes and stuff with blood coming out of Suarez's mouth as he's looking at Neuer. But no goal scored in this game until the 77th minute, where Lionel Messi starts doing what he does best. Kind of similar to a goal he scored in the World Cup against Iran, where he cuts it back across the box and bends it near post instead of far post, though, and just absolutely embarrasses Neuer. You've got to watch the near post. If you get scored on the near post as a goalie, that is almost like a slap directly in the face.
It is. At the same time, you got to give credit to that striker for being able to slide it past somebody as good as that in the near post.
Yes, considering Neuer is one of the best goalies to ever play the game, I think.
Absolutely.
And then you see the wheels start to fall off. 3 minutes later, in the 80th minute, Lionel Messi does something that I feel like you can't even fully explain to Boateng for Bayern Munich. I'm having a hard time explaining it because of just how cruel it was. He literally looked like the life left Boateng, and he just collapsed on the ground with how badly he was able to move past him. Messi one-on-one with him in the box, cuts him inside. Boateng literally just drops to the ground, and then he just chips the ball in.
And what I love about it is actually like a double tap that Messi did there. Quick to his left, quick to his right, and beats the player.
It was...
He's something, man. For an understatement.
He'll go
the
places.
Understatement of the year.
He's a nice...
Yeah, he'll do all right.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he'll win a few things.
And he wasn't done yet, right?
He wasn't.
I'm sorry, that was
his second goal, but he would
goal.
also add an assist in the 94th minute as Neymar would have a chance to break free and take a one-on-one shot. Neymar, pure speed, honestly, and then just slots it home against Neuer. And 3-0.
But again, great vision, though, from Messi to be in that midfield.
It was.
See Neymar wanting to make that run. He plays it to him. Neymar runs from midfield all the way and puts it in the goal.
Yes, indeed. So a review of what the first legs look like. Juventus up 2-1 now, going to Madrid, and Barcelona up 3-0 against Bayern Munich as they go to Bayern this coming week. I believe it is in this coming week is when they will play each other. It's an exciting time. Do you have a favorite now moving forward after these first games?
Well, it maybe sounds pretty easy, but yeah, I'm going to say it's got to be Barcelona, doesn't it?
It does.
They're up 3-0. Yeah, they're going back to Berlin, but or Bayern.
Yeah, Germany. They're going to Germany.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and that game is Tuesday, May 12th. Yeah.
Do you think that Madrid has enough in the tank to beat Juventus at home?
I think they do.
So we'll have an El Clasico
for
a final.
The thing that you got is that Real Madrid, right? They're going back home. So
Yes.
in this game, they got that away goal, and we've seen how critical that can be.
I agree. Yeah. It'll be hard to fully see what Real Madrid is capable of doing. Down 2-1, anything can happen in the world of soccer. But anyway, Simon, it is time for our favorite segment of the show. It's time for our I Believe segment. Simon and I will both offer statements about what we believe something will happen in the wide world of soccer before we conclude today. Simon, would you like to go first, sir, or would you like me to?
I'd love to go first today.
All right, please do, sir.
I believe that the Milwaukee Torrent will be a successful club. And I think what people need to understand is it's gonna start on a smaller scale because it has to.
It does.
This is not a club that's looking to jump into MLS. It's not a club that's looking to even jump into the NASL or USL. And there's a reason for that. They want to be successful long term. Andy and I had a long conversation about this. Nobody in Milwaukee wants to have another outdoor team pop up and then go away,
Yes.
Professional outdoor team. So the Torrent, I believe, is trying to do this in the right way, that they're starting small so that they can afford to have long-term success.
You are absolutely correct.
And I believe with even waiting to go this summer, waiting to play until next summer in an actual league, they're going about it the right way. They're taking their time. They're trying to have this grassroots movement take over, and that's the way you build an authentic club.
You're absolutely correct with that. And I really do hope that it does work out for them the way that they're thinking. And they're going about it too the right way. Yes, I'm sure they have that lofty goal of Major League Soccer one day. What's wrong with it? You're building a professional team. Why wouldn't you want that?
It's just like any business. You have to have your 5-year, 10-year plan.
Yes.
But you still have to have your 3-month, your 6-month,
Yes,
your 9-month,
exactly.
your 12-month plan as well. And that's what they're doing. That's their approach.
And they're going about it completely the right way, and I'm very excited to see with that what happens for them.
And selfishly, I want it to succeed because I want to
do
have
too.
professional soccer
I want to
in
go to the
Milwaukee.
games. I would love to go that. We can do 2 upfront broadcasts from the games. I think that would be fun. My I believe statement, Simon, is I believe that Juventus will win. I believe that Juventus will surprise Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid will come out and probably score right away. I see Ronaldo or somebody scoring right away, but then I think Juventus, fundamental soccer, they will bore Madrid to death and find a way to score probably at least 2 goals.
Now, do you also believe that that's just the inner Italian of you talking?
That the red wine runs deep in my veins. No, it's nothing to that regards. I think that this is the year that we see Madrid fall. And I think Juventus is the team to do that. Personally.
I say it's a bold prediction, and boy, this isn't to cut down on you, but I don't think it's as bold as it would have been last year.
You're right. Yeah, so Real Madrid won the Champions League last year, beating Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
So in a shocking final. That game was absolutely crazy. Anyway, Simon, you know what that music means, don't you?
It does. It unfortunately means we're coming to an end after a great show debut on the Sports Radio America Network. We had the Torrent here. We had Sonya, our new friend that's going to call into us once in a while. What a great time. Social media, Baxter, where can they find us?
You can find us on Facebook at 2UpFront, the number 2, not TWO. You can find us on social media, also on Twitter at 2UpFrontSoccer. Don't forget to watch the show on the Cube, and then thank you for tuning into SportsRadioAmerica.com as well, where our show will start being broadcast as of tonight. For those of you listening live on Spreaker.com, thank you so much as well. We always love listening and hearing back from you guys. Don't forget to offer your predictions.
Absolutely. On Facebook, we'll throw those predictions up there again for you to choose from. We had 10 of you last week. Let's try to get 11 this week. How's that sound?
Why not? Why not? We'll definitely post a link. Watch for it on our Facebook page, and you can start commenting as soon as the show is over. Simon Provan, sir, thank you always.
Thank you,
a pleasure.
Baxter.
Looking forward to it. Enjoy your weekend, sir, and I will see you again next week. For Simon Provan, I am Baxter Colburn, with our manager being the one above. We are 2 Up Front. Enjoy your weekend, folks.
We stand with thee in good old Milwaukee. On sunny days, on rainy days, the goals come pouring down. Our foes, they know, will come crashing down as the Torrent claim the crown. To the Torrent we sing so very loud, of the club we are so proud. In victory we stand with thee in good old Milwaukee.